Right, so just a quick video really, just to clarify some of the points in the famous Blowout video. There were a lot of comments, many people saying, yeah, don't believe in hookless. Quite a few people saying, I've been using hookless for a while with no problems. Quite a few people saying, yeah, same thing happened to me. We were out with our mates, bike's up against the wall, bang, tyre just comes off for no reason. Another guy in his car, bang, tyre comes off. So yeah, there's a whole spectrum of different opinions out there and a lot of confusion as well, because there is, in particular, one guy that seems to be sowing confusion and has even made a video about it. So, you know, everything he says has been completely debunked already by a whole host of people, and he still seems to be repeating the same mistake knowingly for some reason. I really don't understand why. So, first of all, the tyre in question is not a tyre. That's an old model that is not on the approved list for extra light. The tyre in question is a GP5000S TR. It can be seen very clearly in the video. It can be seen very clearly in the previous video when I first bought and set up the wheels as well. So there's absolutely no doubt about it. And that tyre is approved by Continental to be used in a hookless situation, and it is on the approved list of Extra Light's approved tyres as well, in a 25mm. So there's absolutely no question about that whatsoever. There's no incompatibility going on here at all. So I hope we've cleared that up once and for all. In terms of the pumps, obviously I wanted to be absolutely sure that no one would turn around and say, oh, but you've overinflated it, which is why I used two brand new track pumps, very high quality ones. The top peak is like 200 euros. It's a very good pump, and an independent digital pressure gauge, and all three of those checked out with each other to within like 1% or a couple of percent. So you know, there's no problem in accuracy with the pumps. It was taken to 5 bar, and yes, you lose a little bit when you take the head off the valve anyway, so it's probably like, I don't know, 4.95 bar or something. So there's no issue in terms of the inflation either. It was, you know, it was not over. And, you know, that brings us to the whole subject of safety factors, because, you know, when Continental says 5 bar max, and let it be known that Extra Light actually says 6.5 bar max. So I'm always going to use the lower of the two, obviously, but Continental is saying 5 bar max. Now, that does not mean, I mean, who would possibly think that that means that at 5.01 your tyre is going to blow off? Of course not. You know, there has to be an allowance for a certain type of safety margin, because pressure is always going to vary with temperature. Pressure varies with temperature. So if you leave your bike out in the sun, the pressure could easily rise above 5 if you set off at 4.9. And, you know, there's a weight factor as well. If you're a heavy guy, 100 kilos, squashing, putting a lot of pressure on that tyre, again, that changes things too. So, you know, when they say 5 bar, you would hope that they have tested it to well above that. And of course they have. You know, they're not gonna allow that sort of situation to develop. And I think the closest, there's lots of examples you can give, but one of the examples that springs to mind is that, you know, you're not supposed to take more than 5 paracetamol a day. It doesn't mean that if you take 6 you're going to die. It just means that, you know, this, guys, is what you should really be doing, and don't go above it. But yeah, you know, it's just safety factors. It's an engineering concept. You can have safety factors of 2, 3, 1.5. In aerospace, they can go down as low as 1.25 apparently. I've looked it up, because there are extremely frequent engineering inspections and quality control, because it's obviously a super safety conscious business, but they can't take too much weight on, so they have to be a little bit careful with that. So they can bring the safety factors down as low as possible, but 1.25 is about the lowest safety factor you're ever going to see in engineering. And if you apply that to the tyres, to a 5 bar, that would be, hang on, 5 times 1.25, 6.25 bar. So at the very minimum, And bear in mind that this is a safety crucial environment. So you would hope that the safety factor would be more like 1.5 or 2, but at the very minimum, it should be good for 6.25, which is kind of what extra light is saying. And it went at 5. So yeah. What else can we say? Yeah, bizarrely, questioning why we do it in the kitchen. I mean, who cares, really? I mean, it's super hot outside in Mallorca. If I'd done it on the terrace, I would have been sweating like crazy, and there would have been some traffic noise. So it just made more sense to do it inside. And actually, it ended up being easier to clean off the latex from the smooth surface than it would have been on the rough tiles outside. But that's really beside the point. Yeah, so, I think really, yes, if I could hold my hand up to one mistake I made, perhaps is simply that saying don't buy hookless. Okay, it's a little bit too broad brushed, because hookless are obviously okay in a large volume situations such as mountain bikes, gravel bikes, okay, but as soon as you reduce the tire diameter down to as low as 25, then clearly we have an issue. It's pushing the technology too close to the limits. And I ride a 6.5 bar on my tubs. I wanted to try these tubeless. I was prepared to accept a drop in pressure to 5. I always knew I'd be riding them close to 5, and in this case it seems it doesn't really work. So maybe I should have used 28. I don't really want to use 28 at this point. So it's very simple. I don't want any sort of safety risk. I've ridden tubs for 25 years, absolutely no problems. You can inflate them to 14 bar when you set them up, and nothing's going to happen. I'm much more comfortable on that. So if I'm losing a little bit of CRR, what losses by using them, so be it. I'd rather do that than not dead. So yeah, that's a point to bear in mind, really. Hookless in 28s and above, maybe it's okay, but I'm just going to stick with the tubs for now. But yeah, actually, the most upsetting thing in all of this is that he thought I was 75 kilos. Sorry, but I've never been 75 kilos. And for some reason, actually, I'm normally 65, but I'm currently 64. I don't know. It's just one of those things. So there we go. And I've written to both Continental and Extralight. Extralight kind of on holidays at the moment. They confirmed that the rim tape looks absolutely fine. Continental have asked me to send the tyre in for inspection, and then they actually wrote back and said, you know what, send us the wheel as well, and we'll take care of it, the postage and stuff, and we want to look at the wheel, how it interacts with the tyre. So that's going to go back to them shortly, and I hope to have some sort of answer from them as to what they feel went wrong in this situation.